All right, good morning everyone. Welcome to the Two-Stroke Turbo channel, where we work on a lot of microcars, odd cars, orphan cars, cars that are not in the public view or in circulation. You don't see them that much. Stella is taking a little break now in her little tiny dog bed. She loves that little tiny dog bed. That little bed is for a Chihuahua. Stella is not a Chihuahua. She's a 41-pound, what is she, Brittany? Kind of like a Brittany Spaniel. She's a bird dog, but she likes that little Chihuahua bed. We are working on the Seat here. We're doing a wiring, we're putting Polish wiring harness into a Spanish car that's based off an Italian manufacturer. That's what we're doing. And there's some challenges with that, but I'm gonna save that for another video. I had a cancellation today for Subaru, and the Seat is now taking the place of that car. And also, we're tinkering around on our own project, our own 1970 Honda N600 or AN600. And I've been working on this off and on for years, but getting serious about the paint in the last couple weeks. And I want to show you a couple of detail items that you need to be aware of, and what people just don't think about when you're working on an old car and what it takes to do some body work. So as you can see, the car is calico. In other words, it's primered, it's bondoed, it's still has some of the original yellow paint and the original red paint. It's sort of a mess. This is the bottom of the barrel. You got to go down until you hit the bottom and start building back up. So we've stripped the paint on most of the car. We fixed the dent in the door. We reinstalled the body lines correctly. I keep finding little things, and this is where the time really gets absorbed. It's all about details. Spraying a car a color takes 2 seconds, and some people are like, oh, well, you know, paint a car, how hard can that be? Well, it's hard. There's all kinds of pitfalls you can trip yourself up onto, and I've done that myself on this particular car. So as I keep going over it and keep feeling things, I keep feeling areas that are not perfect. Like, I thought this was pretty good, but now that I run my fingers across there, I can feel there's a low spot, like it's kind of like caved in right here. So I'm going to end up actually putting some filler in here from here to here and sanding that off. That's one thing. Another thing is, this is all super thin metal. It's 22 gauge or maybe 30 gauge. It can't be 30 gauge, but 26 gauge maybe. So if you get a tear in the metal, like this circle here, you got to weld it up like that. There's nothing else. I mean, I bonded over that. I didn't even see there was a crack there. There was a hole over here, which I filled up. It's just little tiny details like this that take a long time. So you've got to fill that up without burning through, and then grind it off, and then fill it over. And it all takes time. But I started going around and just taking a Sharpie and marking all the places that I've got to put a little more work into. Like this area here. I didn't do a very good job with my filler here. I filled this dent, but I've got to go back and trim the opening for that light. And you can see the Bondo is rough right there. We're going to fix that. Let me show you a couple more things. I'm going to give you some tips here. We filled the radio antenna hole. It's not perfect, but it's filled. It needs probably another coat of top filler on there. Also filled in the mirrors, the fender mirrors. I keep finding stuff like right here. You can see the hood where it meets the door and meets the fender. It's pushed in there, so I pulled it out with the claw of a hammer and then tapped in here, but it's still not right. I can feel a dent there. As well as like the edge of this door right here. If you can see that, but the skin is pulling away. See that crack on there? I've got to weld that. Otherwise, what'll happen is I get my nice fancy new paint job on here, and someone goes to open the door, that crack's going to open up and it's going to probably flake the paint. It's not going to be good. You got to take care of that now. So I got a new tool this week, and I want to show you. It's pretty cool. This is a pretty special polisher, and it's fairly inexpensive. I'm going to do a little bit of a tool review. This is a Harbor Freight Bauer 7.5 amp 6-inch polisher, and if you notice, let me show you this, how it's got 20 millimeters of throw. See how I'm doing that? I'm not rotating it. I'm not rotating the polisher part, the powered part. I'm just rotating the orbit. It has a 20 millimeter orbit. And the way that works is either with a polishing pad, it covers more area, because not only does it rotate, but it rotates in an orb. So it's rotating out, back, around, kind of like a flower. And the way that works on Bodywork, it's pretty cool. So if I'm feeling across here, you can see I've sanded down this, which was a high spot here. But do you see where my Sharpie is? There's a red spot in the middle there. That's a low spot. You can actually see the red kind of go up into the yellow there. I can fix that with this without any body putty or filler. And I'm going to show you how I do it. So we're going to turn it on. See how I cut that down? You can see the low spot. This car has got pretty thick paint. It's got red paint, 2 coats of yellow, and primer underneath. What I can do is I can actually sand this in this area, and if there's enough material around the dent, I need to get that low spot higher. So if I keep sanding on it, again, I've got sharp 80 grit. It's going to take just a second, but it'll save me from having to fill that or patch it with some type of filler. Let's see if it can. Did you see it disappear? So now I've got it down to bare metal here, and just that little spot, and now it's no longer, I can't feel it anymore. So I can give that a little bit more, and I bet you I can actually work that dent out without any filler or pulling or stud welding, anything like that. Just wanted to give you a little tip and trick. Now we are in the rough stages here, so this will all get sanded off as well, but I need to fix the problem. So you can see I did it here. There was a low spot there. I actually used a little filler. There was one here. I mean, this car has been around for a while. It's got a lot of door dings, but wanted to give you kind of a active insight into how to fix a dent without doing anything but just sanding. So there you go. I mean, there's tons more to do, but we're getting there. I can go around and pick out, there's a little bit of rust there. I got to grind that down a little bit more. It's just going to take a while. I probably shouldn't have masked the car. I got ahead of myself, started masking the car, and now that I'm still doing body work, I'm putting dust on my masking, which is not great, but it's not for paint. This is just for primer. So I do have the ability to sand the primer. It's just, I'm not a painter, so I've kind of got ahead of myself and I don't know what you say, made more work for myself. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. That's what I'm trying to say. So Stella is doing the best thing that she can right now, is take a little nap while Dad is talking on the phone. She's such a cute little thing. And someday this little car will be cute, but just wanted to give you some insight as to what's going on in the shop today. It's fun stuff. I really enjoy doing this. Even though it is painstaking, it's very challenging to get it right. All the details, there's so many. That's what takes so long. Good luck with your project out there. We'll see you on the next video.